There's a reason why it has taken me almost 36 hours to get around to reviewing Captain America, Brave New World, and it has got nothing to do with how busy I've been, or even the rather inconvenient time slot of the press screening. No, my delay is all down to this right here. You see, I needed time to process the fact that Captain America, Brave New World, does something that no other Marvel movie has ever done before. And when I tell you this, I do on it mean it subverts audience expectations, or takes a bold risk, or introduces a new and interesting villain. No, what I'm talking about is much more simple yet shockingly effective. And if you need any more hints as to what I'm on about, let's just say that it became the first MCU movie that didn't include this. As the title might suggest, Captain America, Brave New World isn't content with sticking to the tried and tested Marvel traditions. But there's one thing that the House of Mouse has been absolutely unwavering on up until now. That's the inclusion of their now trademark page flippin' logo at the start of each film. It's a device that debuted alongside 2008's Iron Man, the movie that kicked off the entire MCU as we know it. And it hasn't been absent from any movies since. That is until now, because Brave New World opts instead for something altogether different. Something that maybe, just maybe, is even more iconic than the one it replaces. What follows is a wordless sequence set against a stark black and white backdrop where we watch Cap's shield morph into the shape of the letter A before transforming again into the complete logo. There's no fanfare, no dramatic music swelling on the soundtrack, just an ominous quiet hum that underscores the whole thing. You have a feeling that the next 2 hours will be unlike anything else the MCU has thrown at us before. And boy, were those understatements of the year. Brave New World doesn't just cast aside the familiar trappings of the franchise, it buries them under a metaphorical avalanche of plot twists, shocking character deaths and gruesome action set pieces. Not only that, but it manages to deliver a searing indictment of government corruption and warmongering while doing so. I am so relieved that Marvel finally gave Julius Onah the creative freedom he deserves after the disappointing Captain Marvel and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Because from the moment that he and co-writer Malcolm Spellman decided to go all in on the source material, they had my full attention. Even better, they peppered the script with enough callbacks to the comics to make longtime fans like myself weak at the knee. Just as an example, there is a scene towards the end that mirrors Steve Rogers' first appearance in the comics way back in 1941's Captain America Comics #1, and it made me fangirl like a teenager at a One Direction concert. It's clear that Spellman and Ohana were given free rein to do whatever they wanted here, which is also evident in some of the casting choices. I won't spoil who shows up in what form, but if the sight of a familiar face makes you weak at the knees, then you're gonna love what's in store. What's more, everyone in the main cast gives the performance of their careers so far. Anthony Mackie continues to show why he was always worthy of taking over the shield after Chris Evans hangs up his leather 6-inch belt. Here, though, he gets to show a vulnerability we haven't seen before, especially in the movie's third act. Alongside him, Danny Ramirez and Wyatt Russell are fantastic as the very different, but equally likable duo of Joaquin Torres and John Walker. Then there's the always brilliant Sharon Carter who, like Mackie, gets to dig deeper into her character than ever before. Let's just say she may have started out as a love interest, but she's so much more than that here. Not to mention the rest of the supporting cast are all given moments to shine too, including the always wonderful Tim Blake Nelson as the deliciously slimy villainous Thunderbolt Ross. He might have only been in a handful of scenes, but he commanded every second he was on screen. All this is brought together by director Julius Onah's assured direction, and a screenplay that doesn't talk down to its audience. This is Marvel flexing its creative muscles in a way that reminds me of the studio's output during the first phase of the MCU. You can feel the excitement and sheer joy that people involved have for the source material. Gone is the tired old formula of recent years. In its place, we get a story that is more akin to political thrillers, like All the President's Men or even Jordan Peele's Nope. Oh, and did I mention it's funny? At one point, Sharon Carter called Sam Wilson out for using the same pickup line with her that Steve Rogers used 70 years ago. It's lines like this, delivered perfectly by Emily Van Camp, that remind you that despite the grimdark turn things have taken, the MCU can still be funny. The biggest surprise, however, is how well the movie works on both a thematic and narrative level. If you thought the Sam Wilson version of Captain America would just continue the status quo of the previous 9 movies, you'd be wrong. Oh, so wrong. In many ways, This is a spiritual successor to The Winter Soldier, as it examines how grief and propaganda can be weaponized for personal gain. It's a timely story given how easily misinformation can spread in today's social media age, and it never talks down to its audience. At one point, Sharon Carter utters the line, "People want villains, they don't want to hear about compromises," which could easily be interpreted as a commentary on the lack of nuance in modern superhero narratives. Even the villain here is motivated by a desire to cut through all the red tape and get things done, even if that means bending the rules. That said, Brave New World isn't perfect. For instance, there's a subplot involving an experimental super soldier serum that feels shoehorned in, likely to set up future stories. After several lackluster outings, Captain America: Brave New World reminded me why I fell in love with these films in the first place. It's a bold, exciting, funny and surprisingly dark entry that cements the MCU's place as a cinematic powerhouse. Plus, it sets the stage for what promises to be a thrilling next chapter for Marvel. Just as an example, the mid-credits scene alone is worth the price of admission. And as for that post-credit scene, well, it's probably one of the most hotly anticipated sequences in MCU history. What's more, this really is just the beginning. Now, I didn't realize it at the time, but I actually reviewed the first Captain America movie exactly 10 years ago, and in it, I said that it was a surefire crowd pleaser and a solid addition to the burgeoning Marvel Cinematic Universe. Safe to say, I was unexpecting it to kickstart one of the longest and most successful runs in cinematic history. And while the quality may have dipped in recent years, there's no denying the impact Marvel has had on the big screen. But now the Infinity Saga has ended, the multiverse is collapsing in on itself, and a new era is dawning for the company. So I think it is fitting that the first movie of this Brave New World is one that strips away all the baggage of the past and starts again from scratch. Gone is the tired old formula, and in its place is something fresh, exciting and thrilling. Long live the King. If you want to know what other critics think of Captain America: Brave New World, then check out the link below. Now I am gone now. Go watch all the other Marvel movies to see if I missed any other cool references so I'll catch you in the next one.